So welcome everyone. And of course, we are going to begin with meditation. So I invite you to find that comfortable position in the chair, relaxing and allowing the chair to support the weight of your body as you begin to bring your attention inward, but just notice the weight of the body on the chair and allow your shoulders to relax, the jaw muscles and the tiny muscles around your eyes. And beginning to relax the entire body. And then I invite you to close your outer eyes if that's comfortable for you. And as we close the outer eyes, we bring our attention inward into our heart center. And now I invite you to breathe deeply and slowly 3 times. Breathing down into the belly, allowing the belly to expand like a balloon as you breathe in deeply and fully, also expanding the chest. And then exhaling with a gentle sigh, a full, gentle exhale with making sound of the sigh. Ah. And then do that 2 more times at your own pace. Expanding with a breath as you breathe in, releasing by sounding a sigh. Oh. Oh. And now we allow the breath to find a gentle rhythm as we let go of directing the breath. It will find its own rhythm. And as we center within, letting go of outer stimulus, holding our attention in our heart space, we allow the body to become more calm. Emotions will balance and calm. And we begin to let go of the busyness of the mind. Continuing to observe the movement of the breath, the movement of the body as you breathe, the sensation of the breath coming in and going out. Feeling the movement of the breath. Giving thanks for that breath of life essence, animating the body temple, reminding us that we are always provided for, and we can open to that universal supply by being grateful for our breath, being grateful for the rhythm of the heartbeat, grateful for this magnificent body temple that serves as our vehicle in this human experience. And at the center of our being, as we let go of concerns or busyness, of any distractions in the mind or in the body, we begin to align with that perfect peace within. The peace and calm of the higher self. The centeredness of the true self. The eternal, non-physical self. that is not disturbed by the things of the outer. Reminding us of that familiar affirmation. Nothing can disturb the calm peace of my soul. For with true understanding and wisdom, we realize that all is well, no matter the appearances in the outer or even the responses of the inner. We know that there is a divine order at work to heal and transform our lives and the world. The peace that passes human understanding. Knowing that we are loved and supported in every moment. We are guided with clear and unmistakable wisdom and direction. That we already have everything that we need within us. For we are made in the likeness of the Creator, the Source, the universal cosmic mind and beingness. Our divine inheritance is spiritual wisdom and understanding, spiritual divine strength, divine love, faith, enthusiasm, and the spiritual ability of elimination of that which is untrue, impermanent. Anything that is negative or limiting is not our truth. We have all of these spiritual abilities that we may make the highest and best choices in any moment, expressing our highest and best, that we may move peacefully through changes and challenges, that we may allow our light and love to shine radiantly, gloriously, here and now. All is truly well. We surrender struggle. We surrender limitations and false beliefs, centering ourselves in truth, in peace, in light and love. Let's take a deep breath again, taking in that truth, feeling it resonate within our hearts. Establishing us in peace, our divine inheritance. We give thanks that the more that we are aligned with the peace within, we bring more peace to our world. And so it is. Be aware again of the weight of the body on the chair. The movement of the breath and the heartbeat. And now prepare to rejoin the group and bring your energy back to the space where you are as you open your eyes and acknowledge each other with a namaste.
Okay. And we're on. I hope that everybody had a good week. It's been a little different on my end, but pretty much okay. I have something else popping up over here, and I'm not sure what that is. Okay. So, the question for today is, if you knew that in 1 year you will suddenly die, would you be living the life you're living right now? What would you change and why? And I'm gonna start with Virginia.
I have thought about that from time to time, only I don't think in that broad. I would think if you had a month to live or 3 months or whatever that you knew, but then none of us, well, mostly don't know. Um, I've already been making some changes. Um, and um, I think that I would plan to reconnect with people that I care about that I haven't seen in a while. That I would do as many of the fun things that I like to do, and like traveling and painting, and I already do yard work, and but I haven't been doing a lot of kayaking, which I enjoy. Um, and spending time in connection with the oneness so that I would have a peaceful consciousness for the transition.
Okay, thank you. Donna?
That is a very good question. I'm at a very good place in my life right now. I don't think I'd want that to change. I think what I might do is I might journal. I think I might start journaling things that I would want family to know, maybe my friends to know. But I really can't think, I don't think I would change other than continue to grow spiritually the way I am right now.
Okay, and why would you journal instead of telling them?
Because I have one family member that won't speak to me right now.
That wants
So
what?
I have one family member that won't speak to me right now.
Oh.
So I would probably document some things, journal some things about, loving and no matter what. So that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Diane Hamby.
It's a very good question. I think the things that I would try to do would be to try to get more of my finances in order as far as with the things that we have, create an estate or a trust or something like that. For self, I think I'd like to do more of the things I enjoy, whether it be to try to do more art, to take the trips I want to go to. I'd like to go to Alaska. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. I did get to go to Arizona and go to the Grand Canyon, which was one of my other goals. So traveling would probably be something I would really like to try to get into and do. And then trying to better prepare my family for being able to take care of themselves, which is something I am also working on. Helping Julie to be more responsible for herself and her children, trying to guide her as to what she could do and how she would be able to take care of herself and the kids without me and David being a part of her everyday world. So.
Okay. Thank you. Penny. Earth to Penny?
She probably had to take that call.
It's okay. She did say she was gonna come in and out. Charlotte.
I think I would connect with more old friends I haven't seen in forever, old family members, and then spend more time with my children. And I don't know if I would travel more because I love traveling, but I think I'd rather be with friends and family that I love
Okay.
and just do stuff I love around locally.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Pam?
Well, I would travel more. I would, in a place where I feel kind of stuck because I can't get anything done and I feel like everything should have been done by this time. So I did just get a text from someone for, I've been looking for a handyman and I haven't been able to find one and I don't have anyone to help me with a lot of things. And, so I got a new text, so that's exciting. I'm happy because it's maybe I can start getting things done so I feel like I can move forward.
Okay.
Just too much. So I would finish what I need to do and then I would travel. I'm stuck here. I feel like I'm just stuck here.
Okay, you just got there. You can't get stuck so that quickly. Okay, thank you. Sarah.
I wrote down some ideas. It seems like most of my things would be internally changing things. I do feel like I let fear drive some of my decisions more than I would want to. And I'd be more open to the joyful surprise of every moment of seeing what each moment could bring.
Okay.
Not allowing things to bother me, like holding on to hurt feelings and such. Not really caring about like appearances or how things are supposed to be, and just being more authentic in every moment and with people, and to be more vulnerable with everyone I come in contact with, and not being afraid of what they might think or how I might get hurt or anything like that, but just being completely loving and vulnerable to everyone.
Vulnerability is one of the highest attributes to aspire to, because it is the ability to totally be yourself. And that's the only time that you can actually, the ego will say is vulnerability, but higher mind will tell you that it is your strength, that it is your who you truly are, and therefore there's really no deficits on that, because you're coming out of love. So, and love is the strongest force in the universe. So it's not really vulnerability, but that's how we will qualify it, because that's how we will feel.
It feels like a little scary. It feels like you're taking a risk to be
Scary because you're
completely
taking
yourself.
that step. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would try to do that all the time.
Okay. And why?
Because it feels amazing, because it feels true, because it feels like I'm being who I am to my fullest extent.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. I think I lost Barbara.
Penny's back.
Hi, Penny. The question for today is, if you knew that you were going to die in 1 year suddenly, what would you change in your life and why? Or how would you live your life? What would you do? Would you change your life in any manner?
Make
Let
sure
me come.
make
What?
sure that my cats would be well taken care of after I was gone.
Okay.
And because they're like my children. And I have a lot of things prepared already, but I would also want to make sure everything was in order. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm one of these kind of people who likes to make sure everything's in order. But once I've done that, like
Yeah,
I did.
I'm talking about you, not somebody else. I'm talking about your needs.
Well, that is me. That would be a need, Angie. That would be a need
No,
to me.
I'm sorry, your wants.
My wants. Okay. Well, I'd hope to be able to spend more time with my relatives, my aunt and my cousins, and more time with Byron, and more time with my my friends and especially my really close friends, and not have to be looking at them from a distance or on a a video screen.
Or in the back pocket somewhere.
Yeah. I don't want to say I would travel because I'm not sure that I would still travel because I have the cats to take care of, but I would probably want to get out in nature an awful lot, and I would I don't know. Yeah, more than anything. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but I'd want to make sure everything was in order and that any money that I had available would be going to good causes and good people, and that when the day I would leave, well, and of course I'm only leaving my body, so but I can't do a lot of these things when I'm just spirits. But anyway, yeah, I guess I'd spend more time in appreciate being present. I'd spend more time being present,
Okay.
and less time thinking about the future. I guess I wouldn't have that much future. But once I got everything kind of in order, then I'd be spending a lot more time, maybe working on plants, doing my plants and,
Okay.
being in, so.
All right. Thank you. Whoever caller 01 is, welcome.
Thank you so much.
And what is your name, please?
Essa?
Elsa? Okay.
Essa.
Esa. Okay. Can you please let us know how you will spend your year if you will change the way you're living in any way?
Yes, and thank you so much for asking the question. It's very humbling. I would, this is without any limitation, okay? That's how I'm answering it. I would get on a plane and go to Australia and find a man that I know we're supposed to kind of have a journey together in life, and it's just not the right time, but I would accelerate that. I would write the books that I know I've been given to write, but I'm waiting for the right circumstances to do that now. So I would just accelerate that. I would cut out the amount of mental and physical churn that I put myself through right now that's related to survival.
Okay.
And, just slough that off. And I would enjoy this body every day. I barely do at all ever. And that would change tremendously. And that looks like enjoying what it can do, its mechanics, its function, and taking it into its limits. And yeah. And then part of me says I might do art and things like that, but probably not really. Those books have to happen before I go. And I think about dying every day with the pressure of, I know I have to get a lot done before it's time to leave the vessel. So just thank you for this question. I'll put myself in mute.
Thank you. Thank you for answering and participating.
Yes.
Well, on my side, I think that I'm not much of a traveler. I'm not much of an artist. I'm not much of a nature person. I'm pretty much, I am more of a people person. Because of COVID, because normally I do live my life according to what I want and how I want it, and I follow that already. But because of the virus and all the distancing and all that, I had been unable to get together with my friends, and I had already started to before that from my friends, all of them, not just some of them. And I think that I would like to have a family reunion, um, probably in Texas. Um, I would like to travel in Mexico, some of the states that I haven't seen. I would like to go to Sedona because I haven't been there. And this really has nothing to do with traveling except for Sedona. Uh, Only because you hear so many things and, just for the experience. But otherwise, it's a people thing and getting together and having parties and and get-togethers, and that's my life. That's how I grew up. That's how I have always been a people person, and I always like to be in groups, and I always like to be in bunches. Um, I did grow up that way. I mean, I would have um, my meals with about 20 people, you know. So I always grew up with groups. So that is something that I miss in my life, and there's something um, that it would be the one thing that I would like to do the most. I also probably would like a pet, but I wouldn't get it at the last year of my life, because then who's gonna end up with a pet? So that would be very irresponsible. Um, Not that I wouldn't want to, so I probably will start looking at my friends to go pet dogs and cats and whatever animals they had, but which I already do, to some extent. But that would be it. I don't have major aspirations or major things, because it's a way of being, it's a way of living that, and it's not so much about how well of a person or how good of a person I am, because it has nothing to do with actions and judgment and all of that, but it has a lot more to do with self-expression and beingness. So I would, like Sarah said, be more true to myself and more vulnerable, which I already am, although it doesn't come out that way. But because the vulnerability, as you grow into your spiritual identity, the more bold you seem to come across. And it has nothing to do with arrogance or anything like that, but it has got to do a lot with self-responsibility, integrity, and being true to your word and yourself. So a lot of times people clash because of it. And then since then, I mean, I realized that that had nothing to do with me. The clashing was not mine. It was somebody else's expectations or somebody else's desires, and I didn't follow the script according to what um, I was meant to react in a different way, or their expectations. And unfortunately, I quit fulfilling expectations a long time ago, which makes me a little bit harder to live with, because it's a constant reminder to myself, stay true to yourself, stay true to yourself, stay true. but you still have to interact with people. So without having to step on toes, not wanting to, but I would like to have that interaction more with everyone that I come across. When I say people, I live with is the people in my life, not necessarily my housemate, but the people that I consider family that are my friends. So that's it. That's me. We lost Barbara while you were gone, Virginia. I don't know what happened. So today we're gonna do things a little bit different. It's gonna be a little bit different for a couple of classes. The main thing is that I asked a friend of mine, his name is Michael Kupo, to if I was able to share some of his material. Not so much because we're saying different things, we just have different modes of expression, but I wanted you to hear other opinions and other things according to how they see it. Okay, so he wrote a book called It's Only Monday in Your Mind. It's Only Monday in Your Mind. So so this is part of his book, and I might have changed a couple of words, like put a comma or make it more concise according to my understanding, not necessarily his, but I have altered some of his works, but not in a major way, not changing the meaning. Only instead of very real, it's real, not very real. You're taking words like that. And so anyway, here we go. There's really an amazing, simple way to understand the mind. There are two mind states, quiet and noise. Everyone who's alive will be guided by both at times. But what's the key? The key is in which one is dominant. There are a lot of influences that determine what mind state you will be guided by. And when it is broken down, you will be guided either quiet or noise. To me, everything that happens is the result of something. So the results of living in a state of quiet or noise are vastly different. This isn't to apply a label, which one is right and which one is wrong. But if investigated, it can be seen how quiet produces results aligned with love and kindness and peace and harmony, joy. And then darkness aligns you with results of anger and greed and hate and unhappiness, discontent, and so on. I had a mind of noise for many years, and this resulted in much suffering in the form of feeling isolated and alone most of the time. As a result of this, I use many different things to try to feel this way, but to no avail, because no matter what, the noisy mind state will always return. 12 years ago, I began understanding the different results of these two mind states, and I started developing certain things that put me more in line with quiet. A mind of noise is selfish in nature and produces selfish results. Desirable results if you are based on the material world. A quiet mind has no selfishness to it, and the actions are accordingly. This doesn't mean the noise conditioning is good for good, is gone for good, but it has lessened to a large degree, and hence there is literally no more isolation or hate in me. If the difference of these two mind states isn't seen, it seems the noise mind state controls more. It's because of the influences of the material world that make this so. Even though by being alive you are part of the world, when you finally wake up, what's seen is you don't have to allow the selfish collective mind state of noise to control you. And that's one thing that we hardly, we discuss it in class, the collective mind, and the effects that we have because of it. Specifically, most of us, all of us in this group are empaths. We resonate a lot with the collective of the world. So we need to learn how to detach, in a sense that you will not be affected by the outside world. What I'm talking about here is the ability to remain where you're at without the effect of how the world is operating outside and the demands of you. The only way that you can do this is by detaching, by cutting cords, by flooding your energy field with light, the light that you want for the connection field is the blue light. The blue light that belongs to Archangel Michael, which is the defender. But it doesn't only go with Archangel Michael. Archangel Michael, we use that as a way of we give something an energy form. We give it names because that's how we recognize things as humans. But actually, the problem is that we tend to make them want them to be human. So we give them human form, and we give it sexual designations like the name Michael or whatever. Understand that we're talking about consciousness. Understand that we're talking about the ability to use the energy that you are to protect yourself. In this case, protect yourself. There's other energies to heal yourself and to do other things. But right now we're talking about protection. So if you can visualize like a cylinder cone around you or an egg, and you be in the middle of the egg, and that will be your field of energy. Not so much emanating out as emanating in the egg. You are being flooded in that light, all of your cells, all of your memories, all of your consciousness. It gives you a field of non-separation, but of you not being pulled by outside influences. Okay, so I went completely off the book, but I wanted to make a point here. So back to the book. I think I lost somebody else. Who was it? Sarah, Diane. I know hi Sam. Anyway, I lost somebody. Anyway, I didn't lose, they left. Okay, the splendor of your life is the splendor of what your view of the world is. The world is seen through your eyes, and when the mind is quiet, you will see the splendor the universe provides. The world is beyond the material realm. If you only take the time to see its splendor, you don't have to go to a place like the Grand Canyon or some other wonder of the world to see it. How about your own backyard or just taking a walk in the park? If the mind isn't quiet, it will not matter where you are. You will not see the splendor of the moment. So much of life is missed because of the noise in the head. Take the time to smell the roses before the roses are gone. If you keep saying tomorrow, tomorrow, my heart goes out to you because literally tomorrow never comes, regardless of what goes on in your head. It's always today. You may dream of tomorrow, but the dream can only happen today. You can hope or wish for tomorrow to be different than today, but it will be at some point, it will become today. It's always today, and that's where the mind needs to be if you want to be with the splendor that the universe provides. And again, you're not anointed. Now this is I'm going off the book again. You're not anointed for tomorrow. In the fifth dimension, there's no such thing as tomorrow. That's how come all the materialization, all the creation is today, is right now, is right here. Everything already is. So you are living in the isness of the moment. And in that isness, you are complete and whole, meaning that everything is available to you in the moment. There's no such thing as the future because you're following a carrot that you cannot chase because it's always a day away. One of the things I want to say, especially to the people that procrastinate, that are like, okay, I'll leave it later and I'm going to wait until I'm motivated to do this or I'm motivated to do that. And that's a trap. There's no such thing as being motivated to do anything. Either you do it or you don't. Just do it. Not wait till you feel a certain thing. You're not the feeling, so you're being guided by something you're not. So you have to pay attention to how you're being manipulated by the programming of the outside world. Until I feel this, until I do that, until things become a certain way, until I see that things are different, that's a trap, major trap. A lot of people are waiting for the inspiration. A lot of people are waiting to get a glimpse of what it could be, what until things get together in a specific way, until I feel better, until I am, but that never happens because it's always in the future, it's always in the past or present, or I mean, not in the present, past or future, and because of it, you rarely get things done that you would like to have done, and you disqualify your life. You're disqualifying your true expression. So once again, I'm talking to somebody. This is it. This is it. This is it. It is the isness of the moment. Is the isness of life. If you go past the isness, you have lost yourself in the illusion of what this world is. It is imperative that you know who you are at this moment. Not, I'm going to find out as soon as I learn this or that. You are already that. Learn to pull yourself out of the mind and into the awareness of things. When we're talking about mind, we're talking about the human collective, we're talking about the individual mind, and then we're talking about what is sometimes referred to as the Christ mind or the Buddha mind or the source mind or the universal mind. And that has a lot to do with, that has nothing to do with the humanness mind. It has to do with the awareness of who you are. It is your true identity. So when you say, okay, the mind, know the difference. There's three different kinds. Your individual one, the collective, and your I'm gonna call it Christ consciousness for to avoid. So are you with me? Understand?
Completely.
Okay, thank you. When the conditioned mind is in control, your freedom is compromised. And no matter how subtle the control, your freedom will be compromised until your mind finds its place of rest. To me, there is no difference between the mind pattern that manifests as glaring dysfunctional behavior and the one that's as subtle as that can be as subtle as being annoyed because the line you picked at the supermarket always seems to have some kind of delay. I say there is no difference except in the consequences of the immediate action, because obviously there are differences in the destructiveness of certain behavior. Acting out of road rage or being annoyed in a checkout line will not produce the same outer consequences, but the inner bondage is the same. Now we're talking about inner bondage, your own imprisonment. They are both controlling and leave you at the mercy of your conditioned mind. The more subtle the bondage, the harder it is to notice. And the less is noticed, the less likely will be that it will be to change. It is easier to change a devastating, dysfunctional behavior that it is really affecting your life than one that's just a petty annoyance. Understand whether you are in a maximum security prison or in a minimal security prison. Are you at the mercy, and this is me again, are you at the mercy of how people are looking at you, what they think of you, how you should behave within certain parameters, because some people might not like, or it is not proper, or it is just not the way to do things, and it is because this is more educated or this is more accepted behavior that we seem to be at the mercy of. That's really imprisonment. That's one of the worst imprisonments of the mind. If you really, if you really are led by that, you are one of the most imprisoned people by the mind. Um, like it says, the more subtle the bondage, the harder it is to notice. And what I'm talking about here is if you're always worried about what somebody else might think, you're never in the present unless you're meditating or unless you force yourself to be present. But naturally, you cannot be present because you are being guided by the outside. I mean, I want you to pay attention to when you're in the car, and especially when you're in a hurry, you might be late or something, and watch your body's reactions. Without anybody saying anything or anything, but it's just you're being ruled by the clock. I'm not saying don't pay attention to that, don't keep appointments on time. I'm saying if you're already there, there's nothing you can do about it, number one. And number two, there is no reason why your body should be in such a mess, because if you pay attention, you will see your body contracting. You will see your body being um, at the mercy of outside stimuli. And that's what I mean by the subtleness of things. That's what I mean by how things seem to be so subtle, and we think it's normal. Well, somebody crossed my lane. Well, somebody did this. Somebody was honking. Well, there was an ambulance going by, and you're justifying behavior, but your body has not, is still telling you this is not right. I'm tense, I'm this and that. It's being reactive because it's trying to send a message to you that you don't have to be there, that you don't have to be so tense, that you don't have to be so at the mercy of things. Do you understand? Okay. So understand whether you are in a maximum security prison or in a minimal security prison. You're still in prison. Prison is prison in any way you slice it. You may not be in solitary confinement, but you are not free, and that's the bottom line. You will either be free from the bondage of self or you will not. A little bondage equates to total bondage without the glaring consequences. But when you're totally free, there is no consequences whatsoever because there is no conditioned behavior. Freedom from the bondage of self is to live life free from the control of your conditioned mind. When you are free, you're available to do the kind of things that aren't available when you're in prison, and enjoying every minute of every day is one of them. Questions on any of the things I've spoken so far? Opening the floor to questions. Well, in this case, opening the screen to questions.
This is Essa. It may not be a question, it may be only an observation. I'll start with the observation. Listening to the last part, which is if there's anxiety in the body, that the message is, I don't want to be in that state. The observation in me is that I am battling a child versus adult self. The child will immediately give a feedback in me of, I don't like this dentist. I don't like this, place. But the adult is saying, no, but they're so hard to find a good dentist, so hard to find a good mechanic, and we have special needs, we have whatever. So the question may be answered in my own life soon, now that I'm speaking aloud, but I want to know how I can shift this priority that I've given to the adult self, because I see that the adult self is wrong. And I just said that aloud right before I unmuted. And I felt a stunning sense inside. It's not used to being called wrong. It's been leading the show so much and diminishing the child's knowing, which is so true. I'll mute.
Okay. A couple of things come to mind when you're expressing. The child is innocent. The child is not telling you, not this or not that. It is your emotions. It is your programming. The child had nothing to do with this. It's the ego. It is the programming that is steering you into what it feels less threatened by. And that's what the ego is trying to protect you from. The ego is always trying to protect you. It doesn't mean to be mean or whatever. It's just the only way that it knows how to survive, how to keep you alive and breathing in its own way. But considering that it only takes it from the external point, it does not help you. Because at this point in evolution, we are being asked to look within ourselves, not from what the outside is projecting back to us, because we're only seeing our own projection. How we're seeing the world, how the world is interacting with us, and that is because this is how we see the world. um, you know, will there be problems in this world? Yes, in this life there will be severe, you know, tribulations. Cheer up, meaning that life goes on and you will be able in some way to manage whatever you're going through, whether it's a mechanic or a doctor or a husband or a partner or uh, there is always if you wait and if you give, you know, if you allow yourself, you get out of the way of the fear and of the expectations, a life will show you that it is a good life, but you have to give it a chance and get the ego out of the way. That is my response to you.
Thank you. And how to get it out of the way?
I'm sorry?
And how to get it out of the way? You could give it a chance.
Give yourself a chance to get out of the way, knowing that you're not your feelings, your emotions, or your thoughts. You're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, and you're not your feelings. So if you're anxious, it's not you.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
programming. If you're worried, it's not you. It's a programming. If you're afraid, it's not you. It's a programming. Okay. And if it's a thought, it's not you. Again, it's a programming. Anything that equates to something from the outside, you're not it. You're more powerful than any of these things. You're more powerful than your body. You're more powerful than your mind. You're more powerful than your thoughts, and you're more powerful than your emotions and your feelings. So if anything is being affected, you are responding to the intellect. Because the ego thinks that it knows better. So you shut everything else off. Like, okay, I need to analyze this. And you really don't. And so when you're in a conflict like that, all you need to find out is ask yourself, is this my thought? Is this my feeling? Is this my emotion? You know, is this really who I am? And then you come to terms with that in the acceptance of, are you the body? No. Are you the mind? No. Are you the feeling? No. Are you the thought? No. Are you the emotion? No. So if you are attempting to act based on those factors, then just know that that's not you. Do you understand?
Yeah, something's becoming more clear, and it's taking me in an extended direction from what you're speaking, but it's correct for me to go in this extended direction. So thank you.
Yeah, this class is an ongoing class. Just keep listening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sarah?
Just kind of adding on to what she was saying, for me, it's that adult voice that tells you things should be this way. Like, this is what society says. You need to, do your taxes, you need to brush your teeth before bed, like the responsibilities that in my head get in the way of me enjoying life. Like, so I focus on what do I need to do? Kind of like what Penny was saying about getting everything in order. And that gives me a sense of feeling of control. Like, life isn't going to crap all over me if I have all these ducks in a row and I can, So when she says adult voice, that's to me, my adult voice is saying all of the things I should, the shoulds, and all of my responsibilities. And I feel like that cuts me off from my joy. It takes me out of my moment because that's what society is telling me. That's what, I'm supposed to be doing, but that's not truly who I am or want to be in that moment. And I listen to that voice a lot to give myself a feeling, a sense of control over my life.
Okay, can you do those things and enjoy them? Why not? Instead of
Yeah.
seeing them as a responsibility and a weighed down burden, can you say, oh my goodness, it's time to do the taxes. Let's go. I wonder how much
Right.
money I'm getting back or how much money I owe. Let me see how that's going to work out for me. You know, the way we
Yeah, it's
look at things is more like, okay, you have what the world tells you. Doing taxes, oh my God, what a dreadful thing. And you have to do
mhm,
it. And this, again, is a conditioning.
right. That
What
kind of
we
reminds.
think is labor is not, because the spirit will bring it to you if you don't effort so much. If you
Hmm.
allow it to be a joyful experience rather than a task and something that you have to do.
Yeah.
Responsibility is the ability to respond. It's not an obligation. And a lot of
Hmm.
people confuse responsibility with obligation, which are two totally different things. You have the ability to respond. Yes, you do.
Hmm.
Obligation is more like, okay, you have this commitment and you must do something. You're not tied down to anything, but you want to have your life in, like you said, in the flow. I don't want to say
Hmm.
in order, but in the flow of things. This is part of your life. You came here to be human and have that experience. But we have all these illusory ideas that certain things are really, tasks to be done, and that we need to complete this and we need to complete that. And like I was saying earlier, the most the procrastinators are falling into their own trap. Because then they leave everything to the end, and then they have allowed their life to pass them by because they have no clue that they're being run by a program, and that in reality there's no such thing as I'm waiting for inspiration, or I'm waiting for this, or I'm waiting for that, until I feel the thing, and until I have the emotion, and until I feel better, and until an idea comes, or until somebody calls. No, you go do it. All you
I
have to
don't
do
know
is do something.
why
But
it sounds like my ego is telling me that if I were to just do those things that are truly in my heart to do, I would, Gavin would never go to bed on time and we'd be up playing, video games or some kind of fun thing, and that life just wouldn't, it's like the way you convince yourself that if you did the things, we truly just lived your heart, that the world would fall apart. Like that somehow you've created the story in your head that you can't just be in the moment because things wouldn't happen or things would fall. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I hear you, but
I
what I'm
relate to
also
that, Sarah.
saying is that you're seeing like you're imposing something on Gavin, but you're
Hmm.
really not. It's a natural way, and as long as you see it an imposition, he's going to rebel against it.
Right.
In other words, it's going to become more difficult. If you see it as a normal thing that he will be tired and he needs to rest, and he will not fight you on that. But the moment that you see it as a fight, then you have to do this, and he's not going to want to, and you're playing a game, and then you're teaching him how to play that game. So it's a conditioning, and we all are conditioned that way. So we all raise the children that way. This is not just you. Okay, yes, Penny.
I may seem really boring, but I get great joy from having things in order. I get great joy from that. Like when I was saying earlier, if I was going to know that I only had 1 year to live, I would have great joy in having any money that I had left that I'd been saving for my old age or to take care of myself in my old age, that money was going, like I said, to good causes, make sure all of the people I wanted to have my possessions, my money to go to, that would bring me great joy. And so that's why I said I would spend that year making sure that the people I loved and the people I cared for were cared for. but I mean, I guess that doesn't seem very metaphysical. It doesn't seem like I'm living in the present, but I mean, you just have, I mean, sometimes.
No, has nothing to do with that. Yours has to do with how to handle people.
Yeah.
With Byron and friends and things like that, and outside relationships. Other things like nature and cats and this and that, that's just your private entertainment. That's your joy. So yes,
Yeah.
that things that give you joy is different than we're addressing right now the things that make us uncomfortable.
But I thought Sarah was kind of saying having to do these kind of mundane things made her feel uncomfortable. And sometimes, like you were saying, it's kind of how you look at it as a human
Exactly.
experience. Sometimes these
Exactly.
things have to, sometimes these mundane things are part of being a human and we can't
Right.
get away from it. So it's how you, that's perspective. It's the perspective you take
I
when you're
hear
doing
you.
it. Now, I just happen to get great joy at saying, oh my God, the taxes are done. I don't have to worry about it for another year. Yay. But, and that's my perspective. I get them done. But, I can see how other people might dread, doing them.
I mean, I understand that, but some people, it's not so much to getting it done as to that they're already finished. I'm talking about the people that are dreading doing their taxes because
Yeah.
they might owe money, or because they are late, or because they,
Oh, yeah.
because they don't know if they're doing it right, because they don't want to pay somebody to do them, or whatever. Put whatever the thing is in there. And taxes are just taxes. It doesn't have any other thing in there added to it. The idea that the idea that it's something more than what it is really not true. It is what we make it.
Right.
It doesn't have any power. And I understand the way that you enjoy things in the moment with your animals, and with and how you take care of things and see them. Oh, it's something else that is already done. What I would like to hear everybody say is that I am happy to be doing this. Not I am happy that it's done. I am happy while I'm doing this. And I am happy to start with this project. Not I'm happy to get done with this, because it's been weighing on me and weighing on me and weighing on me, and I have been leaving it behind. And I'm talking about procrastinators. I'm not talking about people that want to have order. Orderly people usually are more controlling, and they are trying to control their environment, not so much, so they can feel better. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But do not persecute yourself because of it. So bottom line, Penny, yes, I like that idea that, you can be easily distracted, or go back into enjoying the moment. Not so much distracted as going back to enjoying the moment with your enjoying whatever things you did or didn't do. Because a controlling person will always try to get something done and feel good about having it done. Because that's part of the control. It makes you feel like, okay, I got this under control. Yes, I got this orderly. Yes, something that no longer is in your way, so to speak. But I mean, the idea that you're enjoying doing it and getting it done, that in itself is a plus to me. I mean, the way that I look at it, this is how I would react to it. It's like, oh, thank God, I can do that. First of all, I see myself as, oh, thank God that I can do this. Thank you. I'm grateful that I can do this. I'm grateful that, I have the ability, I have the responsibility to be able to do whatever is in front of me, because Spirit would not have given it to you if you could not do it, if you were not able to do so. But it also is telling you, okay, look at this, not so much on what needs to be done as your reaction to it. Why are you reacting this way? There's nothing to fear. But usually procrastinators, we're talking about fear. We're talking about control. We're talking about, I don't know what to do with this. And the thing is, yes, you do know what to do with it, but you don't want to because there's a fear there. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Our inner light is our true essence. The only reason there is darkness is because the light is looked for externally. When our inner light, which is always on, is found, it instantly dispels the darkness. The inner light of our heart needs to be found so the dark places of the mind dissipate. The light is always there, just waiting to dispel darkness. It never goes out, but when one lives from the mind, the thought realm can take over and it becomes difficult to see the light. Here they're talking about the collective. This inner light is what turns away darkness, and it can only be found by looking for inwardly. This is the way the light exposes itself. You cannot expose the light externally, regardless of what is used, because the base of the external is the darkness. So look within, because there is a light, darkness, because in the light, darkness cannot exist. And darkness is not real. There's no such thing as darkness or an absence of light. Even the color black is not black. It's a very deep, extreme deep purple. But there's no such thing as an absence of light, only different degrees of less light. But never completely a darkness. Darkness needs to be understood if you are to see the light. I would not necessarily label it as evil, but more so an unconscious state of mind. Now, this is where we are differentiating between the mind and the awareness. Awareness is a spiritual consciousness. Mind is a world and collective thought processes and looking at externally. So mind and awareness. Mind is considered in this point the darkness. Awareness is the other. It never goes out. The light never goes out. This this is the world of the external. This is the we're talking about the mind. If our answers are sought externally, darkness will remain. Darkness creates a world that's mind-based, and this is what blocks out the light. It doesn't allow for the pure essence of the life to be recognized. It holds on to the belief that life is to be managed so it can be a certain way. But even if the way occurs, it is still darkness because it is mind-based. This is what I'm talking about, orderly, control and order. Light, on the other hand, is inward, which is of the heart. When, when seen, it dispels the darkness without effort. As when entering a dark room and the light is turned on, the darkness is no more. And that's all that's needed. The light needs to be turned on. Light will always dispel darkness unless your bulb is burnt out. Our task is to make sure there's awareness of our light that is always lit, regardless of the surrounding darkness. As your light remains lit, more people from the darkness will see it and be drawn to you. This occurs as the light expands. Maybe one day, one light at a time, there won't be any darkness to dispel because all there will be is light. Questions? Nope. Okay. Carrying on. To live a truly productive life, there must be alignment with love, so this can occur. This alignment doesn't happen because through the conditioned mind, one is mostly aligned to self-serve. There is one amazingly simple principle that allows you to live your life to the fullest, and this is to love you. To love, you must do the things that you put in alignment with love. If this principle isn't adhered to, it will be difficult to live a productive life. By productive, I mean being an instrument of love. This isn't done by doing certain things. It is done by not doing certain things, which will allow for this to occur. You cannot love any more than what's in your heart. Doing endless good deeds will not add one iota of love to your heart, unless the good deeds are done from the base of the love that is in your heart. This is not the, when you're doing a good deed and you feel satisfied, if that's the outcome that you're looking for, then you're not being heart-based. It shouldn't matter to you which way it turns out or not. This is not the conventional way of approaching life, but it is the way I have found that works the best for putting me in alignment with love. The major block with this is through the conditioned mind. Many have learned to do things to self-serve. When this is done, there is no time to think of others because one is too busy thinking about themselves and what they have to do because they postpone things. Most of the life is spent thinking and finding ways to satisfy ourselves, even if you're on a journey to help others or you're doing it so-called for others. There must be an awareness to the attachment that the self-serving mind can conjure up to make it about satisfying yourself. There's a fine line between the self-serving mind and the love-serving mind. But with practice, you can see the difference and stop the one that doesn't really benefit your life or the life of others. If all you are thinking about is doing things that are strictly a benefit to yourself, there won't be any room to think about being a benefit to others. If this is the principle you're living by, you will not be doing the things necessary that put you in alignment with love and life will not be as productive as it could or should be. Questions? Questions?
It's a comment, Angie, and this is Essa, and maybe I'm similar to you when you shared your autobiographical portion about, sort of standing out and not meaning to rub people the wrong way. But I have been reassigned recently to caring about self-concern. And it does stand out against the spiritual languaging and teachings that say we should be sort of other focused in terms of, give to others. And that's, so I'm just giving voice to that, right? To make space for myself in the room for the distinct change that has been put into my life. I'll mute now.
Okay. Do you have a question with that?
No,
Or just a comment?
I'm just making space for myself in the room, because when there's a kind of a universal kind of one ought to be sort of instruct, then as an outlier to that, I'm not in
Okay,
the room then. Yeah?
got it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So Charlotte, what do you think?
I don't know.
I love that. See, she wasn't trying to say something that, oh my God, well, what do I think about what or this or that? She said, I don't know.
I don't know.
And that's a true statement. And that's what I would call vulnerability, but it really isn't. It's just the way some people call that, you know. Um, Thank you, Charlotte, for that.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any questions? Yes, Penny.
So in a nutshell, the difference between self-serving versus love-serving. I guess that's how he just expressed it. You just
Okay,
you
can you
know
repeat that? Can
well,
you
it
repeat?
was, if you have a productive life, you'll be an instrument of love, and so I think what he's saying is there's love in your heart. So there's self-serving versus, I guess it was, the term was love-serving. And so the difference would be that you clearly, that one, anything that you're doing for others is going, or for the world.
Let's say that I have a job to do and it has to do with my purpose of serving others, but I am not really wanting to dedicate my time because I believe that some inspiration or something or whatever excuse you want to put in there is gonna get in the way, and then they go ahead and suddenly start doing things and the thing happens. But the problem with this type of behavior is that you're never being true to yourself because you believe that it's always later and it's always later and it's always later and they're never here and now. I have a friend that has, is a caregiver. Well, I have several of those, but she's always going from this one to that one to the other one and coming back and forth and this and that, and then she's exhausted. She cannot enjoy the labor of what she does because she's always coming back and forth, and is doing it more for the effect of what that she has on people. And so when that happens, you end up being exhausted. You end up being exhausted because you're not being true to yourself. And she wasn't really doing it for them as much as she's doing it for her validation that she's a good person. But that's not, like I said before, not one iota of good deeds is gonna make you feel, be more loving, because that's totally self-serving. Not that it didn't help the other people, don't get me wrong, that she didn't accomplish what she needed to do, only that it comes with a price tag. The price tag is there's no satisfaction, only, and then they're waiting for the self-satisfaction, and they may or may not have it depending on the day and where they're at. But it is very conditional, and it is a very hard life to live. Okay, moving on. Unless there's another question, no. Okay. To live from the heart is to live a little guided by love. To live from the head is to live a life guided by suffering. And what that means, and this is me again, the ego is always trying to protect you from any sort of danger, perceived danger, real or imagined, it doesn't matter. It's gonna do its hardest to steer you away. That's something that you might want, but it is going to come against you and said, no, you cannot do this. You're tired. No, you cannot do this right now. You haven't slept. No, you cannot do that now. He hasn't called you. No, you cannot do this now because, whatever. And it will come very strongly and say, yeah, you're right. You need to rest. Or no, he didn't call you, I didn't see the phone, he hasn't texted you, he hasn't done whatever. I mean, I'm just giving examples just to give examples, not thinking of anybody in particular. So what is it that we do? We're coming from suffering, we're expecting a loss. So when you're looking externally, you're expecting a loss and you're defending against that loss. And your reaction would be to start defending that loss, not to live a life of fun. The heart is telling you, yeah, go ahead and do it. You know, it'll be fun, it will be this. No, I'm too tired. I can't have fun because I'm too tired and I need to rest. And if I don't rest, you know, God forbid, the heavens will fall on top of you. And you know, this, we are so exaggerated when the ego is really influencing in a way that really wants to stop you from moving in a direction that you really would like to move into, but you can't because you are paralyzed by the ego. So that's what it means by the mind takes you in a way of suffering. The heart is guided by love. Okay, I know we have all heard the expression live from the heart, but what exactly does this mean? Especially since everything seems to come from the head. This is just my understanding of living from the heart, but it's tried and tested and it works for me. To live from the heart is to have a clear understanding of love, which leads to the understanding of who and what you truly are. See the reality of any situation below the surface of all the nonsense created by the ego. In any situation, for the heart to remain in the forefront, the focus of energy must always be on the message of love and never on the messenger. We cannot get caught up in the nonsense of any situation. To be of the heart is to allow universal energy to be the master of the situation. And this is true no matter what the situation is. The heart's message will always have love as at its base. That's how you know it's from the heart. The head message will always have some self-satisfaction as its base. This is key if you are to have love as life's base, so you can spread seeds of love. The heart is the center of being. You can be alive without a mind. It will be a state of vegetation, but you will still be alive. It's impossible to be alive without the heart, as the heart is at the very core of existence. And yet most people live from the head, or ego, or mind, as I called it. If most of your decisions come from the head, then most of your life will be lived suffering. It's the absence of love that creates suffering, and when life is lived from the head, is the cause of this absence. So, learn the difference between the head and the heart and see the difference as to whether your life is lived from a place of love or not. It's in your heart that love, quote unquote, God dwells, and it's in your head that suffering dwells. Who was that poet? Milton? You can make hell out of heaven and heaven out of hell in your mind. Because you can use the mind or you can use the awareness of who you are. You can use your spirit as that is the awareness, where the awareness comes. Okay, questions? No? Okay.
I got one.
Who?
This is Diane.
Hi, Diane.
The last statement that you said and what have you, to me, having had 2 previous marriages and what have you, the heart led me into the marriages and what have you, but it was the head that finally told me that I needed to move on. So I don't know that I agree 100% with what was just stated, because when you're in a relationship or what have you that's not healthy for you, even though your heart loves the person, sometimes your head tells you that you need to move on and get into a different relationship or no relationship at all.
Okay, now you're talking about eros. We're not talking about agape, the different kinds of love. Eros love is physical love, it is romantic love, it is human love. Then there is the agape, which is the unconditional love that has nothing to do with physicality or things like that. Two very different, totally different kinds of love. It could exist that two people that are self-aware can have eros and agape love together, but that is very rare, you know. But what happens if somebody's in a relationship and is already advanced enough to help his partner, you know, and accept the partner where they're at, the partner will start climbing up very fast. But when we are not in complete alignment with ourselves, you know, we are completely coming from what is called eros, which is the physical love and the attraction and the chemicals and the hormones and the feelings of attraction and the physical love. I'm not talking just sexuality. I'm talking also the attraction, the chemistry, the oh, he gets me, or I'm, you know, I enjoy being with him, or I all those things that go with romantic love is called eros. Very different from the other. I'm talking about a higher love. What is called, what I call a higher. I hate to put labels on things or, you know, sequences, because then it gets confused. It's not that it's higher, it's just different. You can choose whichever love you want, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there are differences. Okay? All right. Until the cause of your suffering is understood, suffering will be your driving energy. So the ego will be very, very strongly trying to rule your life, because he's suffering and doesn't want to suffer, and he's trying to protect you, but he doesn't know how to protect you, so he's going to take all your options away and give you only the one where he feels you'll be the most protected, and not necessarily what's at your best interest. So because of that, you will be suffering. Okay. Until you look in the mirror and say, my suffering comes from within, it will remain in place. 13 years ago, as a new direction began to take a hold in my life, there was a lot of inner searching as I reflected to see where my suffering arose from. Although I didn't understand this at the time, all my suffering stemmed from one source, and that was my ego. There are as many definitions of the ego as there are people on the planet, and whether it truly exists or not. Mine was killing me. The thing about the ego is before it kills you, there's so much suffering along the way. The insanity of this is that its own mind that causes it. I don't blame the ego to not be accountable for what I did, but I don't hold myself responsible, because there's no way anything could have been done differently. Does everybody understand that? I hope you do. I only responded to life with the tools that were developed, and without knowing this, I couldn't have done anything differently. What I have discovered about the ego, it is It doesn't truly exist, but it always seems to be there, causing suffering because it has become a huge part of humanity's conditioning. At least this is how it was for me. Okay, I'm gonna stop for a second, and I don't use the word ego. I use the word in this class is called programming. We're being run by programs. So no, there's no such thing as an entity over there, trying to misguide us and do this and that. If anything, it's how we're programming, how our own programming is trying to defend us, but it doesn't have enough information or to really validate us. What I discover about the ego is it doesn't really exist, but it always seems to be there causing suffering because it has become a huge part of humanity's conditioning. At least this is how it was for me. One example that helped me understand this was looking back at the relationship or lack of them in my life. I would only be with someone until I got what I wanted, and then it was time to move on. It was always time to move on because there was always some kind of made up discomfort in me. I used everything to try and erase this, and for reasons I never understood, suffering was always a consequence of this behavior. Today, I see how my ego is never satisfied and how it's the driving force behind all suffering. The ego is driven strictly for its own satisfaction, regardless of the harm it causes. This revelation helped pave the way to the liberation from the ego's grip. Not its, not its demise, its liberation. A liberation that manifested not as getting rid of the ego, but understanding it, because until the cause of your suffering is understood, it will continue to be the driving energy in your life. So we do have there's nothing really against you, but the programming is like it's like say like a hypnotist came over and hypnotize you and say these are your truths and these are your rules and this is what hurts you, and your reaction to this will be that you will defend yourself because you cannot be hurt. I will not allow you to get hurt. The programming. Okay.
Angie, just one quick question. You tell us often that we don't need to understand or intellectualize where the program's coming from, but that we could let it go. But right there, you made the statement about needing to understand your ego.
Let me change that to you need to know.
Need to like be
There's
aware
a
of it,
big
you mean?
difference. Be aware. Be aware
Okay.
that this is a programming.
Okay. So
That
not
it's
needing to
not
know
you.
where it came from and all the birth of it
Yeah,
when you
it's
were a
like I said,
child.
sometimes we use the wrong words because this is all we know how to communicate. But as we learn to come together and start using this more and more, the more we use the correct terms. So yes, it's awareness, rather than understanding. Okay. The ego is driven strictly for its own satisfaction, regardless of the harm it causes. This revelation helped pave the way for the liberation of the ego's grip. And there is a grip. And unfortunately, it's not comfortable. So when the awareness of why you do what you do is at a minimum, the control your emotions have over you are more prevalent, and the less alignment and harmony there is with the life's loving energy. If desiring were an Olympic sport, everyone will qualify. Discipline is related to the amount of peace there is in one's life. A little discipline equates to a little peace. When the awareness of why you do what you do is at a minimal, the control your emotions have over you are more prevalent, and the less alignment and harmony there is with life's loving energy. Being truly mindful of what's happening and having the discipline to not be pulled around by it is imperative if life is to be balanced. This discipline must be practiced or it won't be prevalent. It won't be prevalent in and as a result of your mind will have its way with you. Discipline can be developed, but the mind will need to be trained, and just like any training, it will need practice. Discipline is the key to freedom, both physically and mentally. Think of all the people in prison. Few, if any, had the discipline control not to give in to their desires, and look what happened. Granted, it's not at the extreme, it's not to that extreme for most people as far as the physical prison goes, but mentally many are in prison from a lack of discipline to truly do the things that are beneficial to their life. Most are controlled by a mind that says, do this or that. Without developing discipline, it must be obeyed. Don't take my word for this. Apply the four principles of the conditioned mind to your thoughts and see it for yourself. These principles are the prescription to the development of discipline that leads to the eradication of conditioned mind patterns that control you as if it were a puppet on a string. Principle number one. Principle number one, the principle of a conditioned mind. Understanding. The conditioned mind wants understanding. The conditioned mind wants to analyze and tear apart to see if there's any place in there that doesn't qualify to what its perceived threats are. You know, again, I'm going to say the perceived threat. That's why it wants everything in such detail torn down and evaluated. And if there's just one piece that is questionable, it throws the whole thing out. Understanding. Even the Bible says, get the peace that passes understanding. Because that's not what you need. Number two, the principle of what causes the conditioning. So what causes the conditioning is attachment. Attachment because you want to belong to something or someone, be a part of. You want to not feel the separation. So the attachment comes in. That's why the ego or the programming has that effect on you. Number three, the principle of awareness of the conditioning. Now we're putting awareness into the conditioning. That's when you're realizing you're being run by programs. Is it your mind? Is it your thought? Is it your emotion? Is it your feeling? Is it your body? You realize your awareness comes in. Okay. And number 4, the principle of conditioned mind freedom, which is practice. So for conditioned mind, it is because of the understanding. For what causes the conditioning is the attachment or the sense of separation. The principle of awareness of the conditioning, that's because you put the word awareness to the condition, then there's a realization that you're running on programs. And the principle of conditioned mind freedom is your practice. The more you practice, the more you become more aware and more aware and more aware. It's like when we use the robot and we give it to the robot and we give the conditioning and the programming to that. Um, this is a book by my friend Michael. It's a whole thing. We'll be going through his book. Um, so I'm going to continue for right now. The difficulty of going through life without an understanding of how your mind works is that it limits your options, and to limit your options is to limit the freedom of having a choice. We discover the cause of all suffering when we face our thinking and understand how it creates thoughts and feelings that aren't real. They feel real because of our association, what our association is to them. But the reality is relative to our thinking and the association to our identity. When this is discovered and we disassociate with this thinking, we become more aligned with the creative intelligence of the universe, which is love. Love gives you so many more options in life. When you stop believing in the nonsense of the self-created world of thought, you learn how to allow love to be your guide. This is when you will be able to see your thoughts for what they truly are. Disassociate from who you are and separate the ones that aren't beneficial and cause suffering. This is when suffering will cease to exist. This is not some belief, it is factual. A thought cannot cause harm unless it's given the energy or the power needed to do so. And this is what determines if the thought is held onto or not. The more it's held, the more that you hold on to, the more control it has over you. And the awareness of this is your freedom. It's in the ignorance of this that there is suffering. And the suffering when you go through life without an understanding of how your mind works, because it limits your options. And with limited options, you have limited choices. When there isn't a me, quote unquote, me, me, when there isn't a me association to something, there is an attachment. The me is what creates the illusion that what occurs in life is real. Things do occur, but only in the illusionary reality of me association. In other words, now I'm talking for myself. When you associate your identity with who you think by your thoughts, or how you feel, or what your emotions that you experience, or by your body, you take all of those. Where's your identity? Without any of those, where's your identity? Does Sarah exist? Mm. The animation through Sarah exists, expressing a Sarah, but with all the programming Sarah is unable to experience life as truly divine creator. When she lets go of all of that, then she becomes the unlimited self. Two people are waiting for a bus. The bus is late. One person is really annoyed, the other one isn't. Same situation, but the annoyed person relates the bus being late to a me association, and the other one doesn't. This is how attachment is formed. The illusion of this is, although there is a reality of the bus being late, it is based in the me created by the conditioned mind that that what goes on life really matters. I know it seems like so much matters, but it is only because what goes on is in association with me. This world has been in existence for many, many years, and I will imagine all the people before us thought what was going on with them really mattered also, but it didn't matter to life. This is the illusionary reality of life. Sure, life is real, and all that happens seems real, but it's only real to the extent that it's associated with me, more so than what is occurring. This is what makes it illusionary. Illusionary, excuse me. It's only real to the individual who is attaching me to it. Sit with this until it is understood. This is not my truth. This is truth of existence. It's quite simple. If you never had a me thought, there will never be an illusory reality because you will always be with what was actually occurring instead of the me attached to what was occurring. In the case of the bus, it was just late. The me attachment is what creates the story. No me, no attachment, no story, no created suffering. Granted, the bus is still late, but the situation isn't allowed to grab hold of your emotions. This is not being controlled by your emotions. Doesn't make you the hole in the donut. It allows you to be with the true reality of what is occurring instead of the illusory reality created by your attachment to things caused by the association to me. Meaning that we're attached to our stories. I'm gonna stop there. Oh, I still have 2 minutes. Put your hands in your heart, please. Breathe in deeply. Release. Breathe in again at your own pace, relaxing, releasing, letting go. Allowing yourself to feel safe, relaxed, and calm. Feeling a sense of peace descending from the forehead, going down through your body, all the way through your shoulders, your torso, your buttocks, your legs, your thighs, your feet, your arms, your hands. A sense of safety enfolds you, knowing that you are surrounded in the love and safety of the one source, the one mind, the awareness of existence, allowing perfect alignment with your beingness, allowing the love that you are to surround your energy field in your body, feeling the love of God, allowing the love of God to radiate through every cell of your body, to every cell of your body, from the top of the head to the bottoms of your feet, inside your body and outside, including your skin, your scalp, and your hair. You are the wholeness and integrity of God. You are created in the image, and in that image you have full control of the physical body. When I say you are created, I mean your spirit. And your spirit that inhabits that body is whole and perfect. That is your truth. Allow peace. Allow love. Allow tranquility and calmness and joy and fun to be your truth in expression. Put aside the programming, the so-called ego, knowing that there's nothing that can threaten you. You are far above that. You are the power of love. There's no other power. You are the power of God, the power of Source, the power that it is incorruptible. It is pure awareness and wholeness. You are that. You are safe and secure. I want you to feel that. You are safe and secure. You are that. You are that energy. Flood your body with it. You are that. Call it forth. Flood your body and all the things that are ahead of you for you to do. You can do this with ease. You can do this, everything that you must do with ease. Everything is easy when it is spirit led. Nothing is heavy. I want you to feel your body being energized right now. Energy, vitality. You are life itself. Allow your body to feel that sense of aliveness. Allow your mind to be fully aware, to feel your body, to feel your scalp and your ears and your face, and feel your hands. And come back to us in the room when you get a chance. At your own time. Come on back. Okay. Alrighty. Are we back? Okay, this is our time. Sorry
Yes.
about the short meditation. We didn't have that much time left. But I finished with what I had to do to the part that I wanted to end at. Was there any more questions about that? No? So no questions. So how's everybody? We're gonna turn into
Peaceful.
the
I'm peaceful.
Good, Sam. I'm happy. Did you find the house yet?
No, a lot of dead ends this time, a lot of almost. So I'm going to have to make it. I'm on my way back now, and I'm going to have to make another trip down there next week. Darn.
Okay, so where are you